I'm going to ask the question. I want to thank Rebiya, Kadeer, and Sherap Therchin for their testimonies. And I would like to ask, have you called upon the United Nations to bring UN observers? And perhaps you have, but is there a renewed appeal to UN human rights observers so that you have the right to learn and teach in your own language? It seems that that's a fundamental right. The first panel spoke about the responsibility to protect. And I believe it was Adama Dieng who said something about this not only being applied to military situations. It seems that it should apply to your situations. So the question is, have you called upon UN human rights observers right now to protect your right to speak in your languages?
Biz UN dedik, hem Montreal Amerika dedik, Kanada dedik, kişilik hukuk, Amnesty, Human Rights, Freedom House, bütün dünyaya tilimizni saklap kilish turuk dedik, lekin hayatımızdan saklap kalamavatımız. Uyghur degen milletni millet boyunca kırıp tügütümüz dep Xitay kayıt kılatıdı.
Yes, we have been raising this voice about preserving our language and against assimilation to the UN, to the countries, China, Canada, everywhere. But right now, what we are facing is our physical, real existence. We are dying, not our language. We are finishing right now in the China.
Şuna biz her bir demokratiya devletlerde, mesela Avustralya'da Uyghur tili günü dep günü var Avustralya'da.
For example, in Australia, we have Uyghur Language Day, such activities.
Biz hem de şunda hem devletlerde hazır özümüz ana tilimizni chet elde olsun bir qoğdap qalsaq deydigan bir tirishchanlikni ko'rsatyapmiz.
Right now we're trying to preserve our mother tongue, our own language, yes.
Çünkü vatanda hazır uyning ichida video mushna qo'yoqliq, video qo'yoqliq. Kim uyda bir eg'iz Uyg'ur gap qilib, Uyg'urcha til gap qilgan odam yo kampga ketadi, kampdan 3 yillik qamoq jazosini 15 yillik kesilar ekan.
Every house was watched by surveillance camera, and even among the family, each other must speak Chinese. If you speak native language, 3 years or more in the camp or prison sentence right away.
Hem ularni butunlay Xitoy o'lkasiga yo'tkab ketar ekan.
And lots of them are being transferred to the inland China, different provinces.
The question was about among other things, also about asking for observers. If I get you, I'll have maybe Sherap, you can follow up on that. Has it ever happened to have UN observers within Tibet?
Thank you for the question. We do raise or request or appeal to international committee, to governments, to UN observers to request an access to Tibet. For example, about I think 2 weeks, probably 3 weeks ago, Global Affairs Canada organized a consultation for civil societies, and one of the attendees, the speakers, was UN Special Rapporteur for Human Rights, Dr. Ahmed Shahid. That's when we had a chance to ask him to raise the issue about the language rights for Tibetan. And earlier in 2018, Canada-Tibet Committee and the Coalition of Tibetan Associations in Canada sent a report to, as part of the Universal Periodic Review in Geneva, and to the Global Affairs Canada, a list of recommendations. And the top of the recommendation was about the appeal for the unconditional immediate release of Tibetan shopkeeper Tashi Wangchu, who advocated for the preservation of Tibetan language and appeared in the New York Times documentary. And what he got was 5 years sentence in charges that China called separation. So yes, we take every opportunity to appeal. And that seems to be, for now, perhaps the most important action that we could take, because as Tibet remains inaccessible for many journalists, international government diplomats, what we're trying is really get access to Tibet, and for UN observers, human rights experts to monitor real situations there. In February 2019, U.S. government passed a bill called Reciprocal Access to Tibet that would make any U.S. journalists, government officials to visit to Tibet in return for Chinese access to China, to U.S. And we hope we could have similar bill or at least a motion or resolution in Canada. We're working on it. Senator Ngo Tan Hai Ngo, who is a strong supporter of Tibet, recently introduced a motion on Tibet in the Senate House, which is being discussed. And one of the things we call for is the reciprocal access to Tibet, and in addition to many other things.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.